Hi, I'm Megan Mitchell. Have you noticed that everyone seems to have a podcast these days? Celebrities, influencers, doctors, even the stay-at-home mom down the street. Podcasts are everywhere, and everybody has been able to find their niche. But as a listener, it's important for you to find your niche too. You can choose between true crime, self-help, celebrity gossip, anything you want a podcast about, it probably exists. But what if the thing that you're after is uplifting content that makes you feel good, that puts light into your day? Join me as I count down the top 10 uplifting podcasts.
Faith matters, especially in a world when it's harder and harder to live by faith. But we have questions, and faith can be very nuanced. The Faith Matters podcast, through interviews and various resources, strives to make it easier for people of faith to find answers to their questions and find where they are with their faith. Motherhood is messy and complicated and beautiful. But Candace Larson, the host of the Thriving with 8 podcast, strives to help her listeners recognize that motherhood is the most important profession. And she does it with wit and humor and amazing guests. What does it mean to be all in the gospel of Jesus Christ? That is the question that Morgan Peterson seeks to answer each week as she conducts compelling interviews with people that you've probably heard of in the news. She has interviewed athletes and actors, politicians and performers, and everyone in between. Each week, she gets a different but inspiring answer to the very question. What does it mean to be all in? Let's Get Real with Stephen Jones is the perfect place to go if you have complicated questions with your faith. Think race in the priesthood, women's roles in the church, and other things that we struggle with as people of faith. Stephen brings on experts who will help you navigate these muddy waters, and he always does it with insight and humor.
The Men Who Love God is helping people who feel disconnected from their Heavenly Father reconnect with Him by sharing interviews with men from many different backgrounds. These men who are profiled have enriched their lives by working on their relationship with the divine. Eric Robertson, the host, brings these inspiring interviews each Thursday. The Little Lessons podcast helps you see the many small and simple but very unique and personal ways that God communes with His children. Sometimes these lessons come from a lyric in a song on the radio or a bumper sticker on the back of a car. The lessons are everywhere. Megan Mitchell brings her own unique experiences as well as inspiring interviews with people of her own faith, other faiths, and sometimes no faith at all.
Leading Saints with Kurt Francom will help you become a better leader in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But these interviews span so much further than how to become a better bishop or a better Relief Society president. Whatever your calling or position in the church, you will find an episode that will help you do it better. This is done through interviews with leadership gurus and regular people who have all learned invaluable lessons along the way. The Cultural Hall is a show in podcast form. If you know, you know. It's been hosted by Richie Stedman since 2011. It's always faith-promoting with a healthy dose of irreverence. Richie has wonderful guests and does insightful interviews, and it will always open your mind to new perspectives.
The Happy Families podcast is hosted by Dr. Justin Coulson, a family therapist from Australia. He hosts this podcast with his wife, Kylie. They are the parents of 6 daughters. They answer all of the questions that parents might encounter and offer relatable and practical advice. While members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, faith does not play a role in their content, but it is definitely easy to find gospel principles sprinkled into their advice.
The Comeback podcast tells the inspiring stories of people who have lost their faith in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or their faith in God entirely, and then came back with their faith stronger than ever. Host Ashley Stone, a former heroin addict who left the church and then came back, handles all of these interviews and stories with grace and dignity. We consume so much content every single day, and I would venture to say that a lot of that content might start to bring us down a little bit. But we can change that by flooding our lives with content that is positive and uplifting. And each one of these podcasts is a perfect place to start.